course, it is quite important that you get to take care of your physical body, and that is why every single day, as long as you are part of Millennium culture, we get to bring to you the fitness segment so that you get to sweat a little bit and, of course, have the body that you desire at the end of the day. Of course, it is still the Friday edition of Millennium culture right here on Millennium TV, coming to you on Top Stats and on 95, and also on our Facebook page, that is Millennium TV Zambia. Now, like we mentioned earlier, today being a Friday, of course, we do have the education segment, which starts now. A very interesting conversation that we'll be looking at, because sometime last year in December, we saw more than 100 inmates at Namusesha's correctional facility in Chapata district, actually, graduating after undertaking various skills training under the Zambia Inmate Skills Training for Successful Reintegration project. So we have this number of projects that get to happen in the correctional facility, just to give some skills, some knowledge to the inmates that are there. And others could wonder why this is done, because they still remain in this particular facilities. They don't get to go out there. But of course, just give us more understanding on this particular conversation. We are joined by an author as well as executive director at Education Hope Foundation, that is Mr. Charles Mwambe, just to give us more details on this particular very, very fascinating topic. Good morning to you, Mr. Mwambe. Thank you so much for coming through. It's a pleasure finally to have you in studio.
No, I really appreciate the invitation.
Thank you so much. First of all, we see these particular videos, we see news about, inmates at this particular correctional facility across the country, of course. They are graduating. Before we just get into the whole topic, make us understand your expression, how you get to affiliate yourself when you see such things that are happening in the different correctional facilities that we have in the country.
Okay, when it comes to correctional facilities, one thing that we need to make clear is that correctional education is any form of education that is administered in correctional facilities. For instance, vocational education, tertiary education, psychology, therapy, all kinds of education, even rehabilitation programs. So it's not just tertiary, but even other programs. They are coined together to be called correctional education. So when we see such things happening, I think correctional education has it's much attached to rehabilitation and transformation. Yes, so that's really is the big issue when it comes to correctional facility. Correctional facility cannot be separated from correctional education.
For a country like Zambia, why do you think this is important for us to be having correctional education in these different correctional facilities in the country?
Correctional education is very important, as important as tertiary education in public schools, public universities. Why is it so? You know, those people, when they are sentenced and then they are taken into prison there, most of society, our thinking is that they are going there to be punished, to be tormented. But then they are not just going there to be tormented, okay?
Yes.
Remember that the right to freedom, the right to just movement, any other right is taken away, okay? But their right to education and good health, it is there. So when they enter into the correctional facility, they are going there to be changed. Punishment makes people bitter. When someone goes into the correctional facility and then they are
tortured,
all bad things are done to them. When they come out, they'll come out maybe 3 times, 5 times bitter than they went in. So that's where correctional education comes in to deal with the change of mindset. Because as you know, the only thing that can change the mind is reading, studying. You can't change the mind by being in the same environment. You have the only way that mind will change is when it sees new information. So now these are people that are grade 12 dropouts. Others, they've never gone to school. They don't know how the law is, how to interpret the law. So when they enter into correctional facility and then they are given these educational programs, it means they will be at least illiterate.
You know, people out there would wonder, or maybe even ask to say, why is it important to give these people this opportunity to be able to learn, especially knowing the fact that maybe some of them might never even come out of those facilities? Where are they going to use their skills from? Where are they going to apply them into? what happens after they graduate, after giving them this chance to actually get educated and know these things that they do? Are they going to be able to, where are they going to use their skills?
Thank you. There have been a lot of success stories. Others have gone into farming. Okay, others have joined maybe metal fab.
Just in the same facilities?
In the facilities, there are some programs, different programs. So people will enroll to maybe to do metal fab, and others will go to do carpentry, others will go to do farming, depending on because the location of the correctional facility. Other correctional facilities, you find that they are more into farming. So most of the ex-convict that are coming from there, they are farmers. Others, it will be maybe carpentry mixed with other skills, but not forgetting grade 12. Others, they say, for me to get into grade 12, my time and all that. So they go straight into skills. So now the question is, when they are done, what happens?
What's next?
Yes. What's next?
What's next is that they go to practice what they have learned. Those that have done farming, they go into farming, but there have been a lot of success stories for those that have left correctional facilities and then reintegrated into society. They've used those life skills and then they've added value to society.
But what is the benefit of, I think, every individual in Zambia appreciating, recognizing, and also supporting correctional education?
Okay, interesting questions. Okay, so the benefit. People have failed to see the benefit, right?
Because of, I think it comes with a tag when you say when you're an inmate.
Yes. So I don't know if I would take it like this. I don't know if you've seen a lot of these Western movies. You see that someone is integrating, the family is outside waiting, they are hugged, and then they are accepted. It's different here in Zambia. Most of them, those people, they run, family, society run away from the ex. Yes. Whether they came out on parole because of good behavior, there's this stigma around them, you know. So, but then the question is, how does the general population benefit from this program? Because they feel taxpayers' money is being wasted. Okay. The only explanation I can give now is that recidivism rates, they go down. Recidivism, which is the reoffending rate, like someone was a convict and
they're taken back in.
So that goes down, crime goes down. That means that there's going to be public safety. So the most important is public safety. It's like you have a sieve, right? And then you put something there and then it's sieving like that. So people are coming out refined. So more people are going there, more people are coming out refined. So that at the end of the day, the person that was bad, they are good in society. They are adding value. They have their own workshop. They have got their own farm, and then they are paying tax. Imagine someone coming from there. They were bad people in society, but they get reintegrate into society. They are paying tax. They are employing other people. It becomes value addition to the nation. So it's all about public safety, because if you are keeping people there and then they are not getting transformed, it means, I don't know, no one is safe.
We're doomed.
There will be revenge, there will be crime, high crime. It will just be something else. So the most benefit is public safety.
Okay. Still on correctional education, now let's talk about the inmates themselves, the people in these facilities. How do they receive this education? Is it everyone? Because I'm not sure I'm sure it's actually not everyone that goes for the correctional education. How do most of them actually receive these programs?
I would say that much sensitization programs in correctional facilities has to be done. Education in correctional facilities is not a mandate, which is a big problem. I think these people, they must be compelled to get into an educational program.
Because it's not many of them that actually read.
So I will not go into details very much, because there's a research that we're doing for the correctional facility, but we'll share with it once we are done. But education is not a mandate. So anyone who wants to start, they start. So that is a problem.
Okay.
If education is a mandate for people that are outside, I think it should be a mandate for people that are there. It's their right to education, but I think this right must be pushed on them. Because if we want to see transformation, I think we need to make education a mandate.
Okay.
Because if you look at the Correctional Service Bill, the act that was enacted, education is just a program, but education has to be put as a major program right there. How it's going to be administered, who's going to be in charge, how it's going to be done, everything, and it has to be quality.
Okay. So
Now, does for others that want to go for the programs, others don't want, is there any kind of stigma just within the same correctional facilities? I'm thinking so, because others can say, you know what, you know, and others would think, so you think you are now a graduate, and is there any stigma just within themselves?
Stigma is there.
Stigma is
Others,
there.
they look down at, Karen is on, I need to, that program.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know, they are sitting there, time,
Yeah.
you know? So that's how the environment is, the stigma.
Yeah.
I mean, if people, they don't fully understand the value for education.
So what would you want to do? Because I mean, for others, even if we others are aware about correctional education, so what more would you like to see happening? We get to a level that we make correctional education also a priority to every inmate.
What must happen is a correctional education, a correctional facility. It must be a very, I think, paradise more like, where when people are there. There's serious studies going on, programs, literacy programs. It has to be a mandate that someone in the morning, they must read a book at least. Local authors have authored a book. I should be invited to most of these correctional facilities to talk to them.
Have you made any attempt to
do that?
Yeah, to just, you know?
No, since we did the research, we are getting there.
Okay.
We are getting there.
Okay.
But we must see a lot of people reading, knowing the skills of reading and writing. You know, for someone, let's say you're on the road and you're driving, if you don't understand that is stop, how are you going to stop? You just move ahead and then you cause an accident. They are not able to read. If you, maybe they get any chemical that is supposed to say put on the left and you put on the right, what happens? So reading, writing is important.
You know, we've talked a lot about educational, correctional education and the people who are supposed to be, how it's supposed to be mandatory and everything. But now let's talk about some of the programs that they actually offer under educational correctional education rather. Yes. What are some of the programs or maybe courses I would say that they're offering there that most people actually go for?
No more grade 12 is there. Yeah.
So they do GCE?
They do GCE.
Okay.
Others, they do degree programs. There are universities that have given themselves to affiliate with those inmates. So others, they advance. Others, they do grade 12. Others, then in grade 7. Just like that.
Okay.
That program is there. But I will not go into details of some of the policy, the things that has to be done. But we are getting there.
Okay.
For me, I know that we have different age groups in the correctional facilities. We have others, it's juveniles as well. Unfortunately, we also have circumstantial children, and we also have the adults. Not just dwelling in so much into the details, because like we agree, this is a series that we'll be having. So what kind of programs maybe are given to each different, are there different programs that are given to each particular group?
Age groups. Yes, programs are there. For circumstantial, I think some organizations have taken up to receive them into orphanages and other programs. Okay, and then for juveniles, there's Nakambala Approved School and Insakwe that accommodates those that are in aged 9 to 21.
Okay.
So now we visited the Nakambala Approved School that is in August 2020. I will tell you that that school should be a model of how other public schools should be. There you find there's fish pond, they do farming, there's piggery, there's poultry. There are all these kind of skills, tailoring. They have metal fab. They have all these workshops, and it's a nice place.
It's impressive.
Yes, impressive. Even the dorms are clean. We were impressed with how the facilities are being displayed there. They also do offer some psychology to the young ones. It's quite interesting. Very nice.
My last question, we can have a question of education, and we are implementing it, and of course, like you've alluded to, the benefit that it comes with. How really effective is it done in Zambia?
I think correctional education is not very, I will not say, I think correctional education is not very effective. Yes, it's not very effective. There are a lot of hiccups. The Ministry of Education is not attached to the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Ministry of Community Development to offer education in approved schools and correctional facilities. Okay? Yeah. So now that is a problem. And I think probably it was removed because of the cost that was coming in from the Ministry of Education. Probably they wanted to concentrate on the public schools. But these are the things that we're working on. We're trying to talk to the Ministry of Education so that they take responsibility for their educational part, because I mean, that is also a job creation. If most of teachers can be deployed into correctional education, that is employment. Taken to approved schools, that is employment. At the end of the day, they are assisting those inmates as well. So that is, the challenges are there. Challenges are there, major ones.
But we can...
For us to get there.
Yeah. But do you think Zambia can get there?
We will get there. We will, because historically, if you remember, before the 1964, there used to be two types of correctional facilities. There would be these correctional facilities for the colored and for the whites. But what used to happen is that correctional education used to be offered to the whites. You know, they're given some magazines, some programs, school programs, while this side was just punishment. But after 1964...
For the indigenous Zambians, it was just punishment.
Just punishment, severe punishment.
Yeah.
I don't know, there are a lot of things that I want to share. There were a lot of, how can I say it? There's punishment going on here. And remember that those were being called prisons until 2016, when the name was changed to Correctional.
Yeah.
So remember, prison is a place of torment, the place to punish, the place to inflict torture.
Physical,
right?
mentally.
Those are the things that used to happen.
Okay.
You see how bitter we are now. Because how are you going to transform when that kind of abuse is
being inflicted?
Exerted, yeah.
So now 1964, here comes our Dr. Keke. There were some reforms, and then slowly the education was being offered. Yes, and the Ministry of Education was involved until 2002. From 2004 to 2006, you find that the DEBs, they got in charge with education, and then they detached themselves from correctional facilities and other programs, and then concentrated on public schools. So you see, we are getting there progressively. But I think since we are in this kind of era, technological era, I think we need to move fast, because crime is going high. Poverty is everywhere.
That's even a good point that you've mentioned, talking about technological advancements. Do we see that also happening in the correctional facilities? Do they have access as well for them to understand and utilize, a computer and stuff like that?
A few correctional facilities have that, especially those that were renovated, new ones. Yes, they have, but it could be, I could say it's just 2%, 1%.
Oh, yeah.
It's not effective.
Yeah.
Because how can we bring in technology when we are still wrestling with policy issues, still wrestling with getting excise books into correctional facilities, still wrestling with getting teachers to get into correctional facilities? So first things first.
Yeah.
Policy issues must be polished.
Mr. Mwembe, thank you so much for coming in and, of course, giving us these particular highlights. We'll be able to have you next week again. Next week, of course, we'll be focusing on circumstantial children, just understanding as well how education for them is done. And maybe we could actually have somebody from there just to tell us the practicality of how everything is being done. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great. So of course, just having an interaction there with our author as well as executive director at Education Hope Foundation, that is Mr. Charles